I think we are 2 minutes in. Cool. Thank you. So, hello everyone. So welcome to today's scientific forum. Let me put in presenter mode. So hello everyone. So for today, we actually want to really take a step back and kind of, because I think scientific forum is a kind of a new thing that we started this year. So, and then we've been doing that for like the last 5 months. So now we really want to kind of, take a step back and really think about how we can, make the scientific forum work for more people and, what's the best way or what people need, and then let's discuss about that, and so how we can kind of make the scientific forum better in the future too. So again, like I just want to set a tone is that for today's scientific forum, we really want it to be a more of a discussion rather than a presentation or a demo from anyone. So all of your feedback and comments throughout the meeting will be very, very appreciated. So as in general, like for scientific forum, we are really hoping the aim for it, the purpose for it is really we try to have this 1 hour per month to really use to help or support each part of, a network study. That's whether it's global or it's APAC specifically, but in general, we want to use this time to do that. So today we want to kind of take a step back and really share with everyone again, kind of what are the network study opportunities, where you can find those and what you can do with it. And then if I have data, how can I do it? If I don't, can I still help? Things like that. And then second, we will really use as challenge as a network study or as a collaboration showcase, just as the example to show kind of how things are done and how what's the timeline look like, how should I be participating, et cetera, et cetera. And then last part, which is really the main topic that we want to discuss today, is that we really want to hear your voices on kind of how and where we can make scientific forum more helpful to you, and what topics will you be more interested or more likely to have more participation, things like that. So with that, I will first kind of share with everybody, because I think we did go through this in our community call as well, that I think was last month that Global Odyssey Global has launched the new dashboard that has, as you can see here, we have it literally, I think we have everything here, including, what are the publications, the phenotype library. And as you can see here, there is a separate tab for just network studies. And as you can see here, there has been, the links to every of the study and what are they, what stage are they, are they still in progress? Can I still participate in? So here is a great way to get there. So let me just click into the link really quick. And so if you can help send the link in the chat, that would be great as well. Thank you. Let me share again. So if you are in the Odyssey main website, so here is a tab that will direct you to the community dashboard, or you can kind of use the link directly here. That once the tab is network studies, we have 90, for in progress. I'm sure there will be some of them are of your research or therapeutic area interest. So you can see kind of what are what are the studies listed here, and then I'm sure there are something that will be more appear interesting to you. I'm just randomly clicking into it, and that will link you directly to the GitHub repository for that specific network study. And of course, you will be seeing more on the, oh, I just picked a APAC one. That is great. So from, I think, from Eugene and Chen here, so you can see kind of more details around what the study is about, protocol, and of course, you can download the R package and then check it out, kind of what are exactly the study packages. So here is really the knowledge central for all of the network study that you can participate in, and that are there that you can look through. So I'm gonna stop here if any questions around this side or kind of where we can find all of the network studies. Cool. Then I'm gonna go to the really that's kind of first thing is that if you are really looking for a network study to participate in, so here is the place you to go to. And then second is that really the feedback we got from previous surveys and polls is that obviously not all of us here have access to data, or even we do probably just to our own data. But then again, the beauty of network study is that although you may or may not have data by yourself, but then again, you can contribute not only the data, but also kind of your epidemiology knowledge, your data science knowledge, anything like that. It can be used or can be contributing to a network study from so many different perspectives. And of course, if you have a study ideas that you have that you need data, you can always also participate, use the data partner map or the dashboard earlier to find the data you want and reach out to the data owner as well. So definitely you don't necessarily need a data for you to participate in any of the network study. So we want to kind of really make that really emphasize on that. So that should not be a anything that's against anyone participating in that, but it really be kind of contributing your own expertise into it. Yes, Roger. I think we have a hand. Oh, you were on mute.
Yeah, just switched off. Yeah, just a question. It'd be really good because we're at the stage in Australia where we're showing people how Atlas works now, because we're getting new hospitals coming on board with data sets and we're showing them how Atlas works. And they're wanting to think about use cases. And when I first started out, it was maybe 18 months ago, you kindly shared the ㍍Network study with me. And I was able to load that into Atlas and run it on our data. And that was enormously useful for us because, it showed us, this network study works. And we were able to compare our results with, what other people have been doing. So it really sort of illustrated what was possible. Now, it'd be really nice to have a simple, like that's one use case, but are there other sort of mature study protocols that people that are ready to go and people can try out on their newly created data sets? Do you see what I'm saying? So I've just come out of a meeting with a hospital, and they was they were saying, well, yeah, the first thing we want to have a look at is COVID. So for instance, if I could say to them, well, actually, there was a COVID study done, and here are the the analytical files, and you can load them into Atlas. That would be really useful for me, and I suspect it would be It would be useful for other centres starting out. So, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree, because I think we have a whole spectrum of study complexity, right? Like you have descriptive analysis, you have all the way up to building fancy models to look through like 20,000 different comparisons of drug A and drug B in different groups, and stuff like that. And that can sound a bit scary, like if you know what I mean. Yeah. And I think starting something with more simple, like so they can see what you're getting out of a quick run. I definitely agree. So I think it's more of a step-by-step approach, if I may say that. Because I think using SOS as a SOS challenge as an example, because it first started with data profile. And data profile is really something built that can run very fast, like say 20-30 minutes, probably, with the okay size data, that will be it. And that was mainly using Achilles results. So you start with, we first look at the data. What does it have? Does it have everything I need for a certain study? And then you go with, cohort diagnostic. It's really looking at the cohort. And then you talk about, whether it's characterization or pathway studies or, modeling stuff. So it's really more of a, step by step until your final destiny, but then you will not, I think, hopefully by this step by step, you really don't scare people away with a gigantic package that's gonna run and average out, and then people get frustrated. Like, rather, I don't know if that's something at the SOS could help the
Yeah,
SOS journey.
I'm more thinking of just
Mhm.
a few known packages that have run are known to run across multiple Atlas instances that can be used to validate a new conversion. That's kind of what I was thinking of. So not and they will do, they'll start experimenting, but just to begin with, something that we know will run for them, the quality control's good. If their data set is converted properly, the analysis should run properly for them, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. So yeah, but
yeah, I definitely agree, because we run into that situation, working with data partners, or, such as, the APAC hypertension study we did together, right? Because that's not the most complex one, but again, like even for a descriptive analysis, there could be different bugs or errors that we wouldn't really expect until, you encounter it, and then you find a way to fix it. But then you don't want to scary people away, because it could be more complicated and all that. So I definitely agree, because the step by step can give people more immediate, like, results, so that they can see, and then get more interest to move forward into the more complex ones.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
sorry to jump in,
Mhm.
Jing. Can I steal your screen for a second?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Let me stop.
Sure.
I stopped.
Okay. So Roger, more specifically on your example studies to run scenario. So if you go to the Odyssey webpage, there is a separate page for COVID-19. And
Yeah.
if you go here, there are actual published studies that came out from COVID study-thon we did in, I think it was in 2019. So
Yeah,
like one example is, if you click on the very top one here, it will tell you within the publication, it will tell you a specific GitHub repository. So here it's saying that on GitHub, there is a repository for COVID estimation hydrochloroquine. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So if you go into the actual so this is the GitHub repository for this specific study. This will be your landing page. And if you're looking for specific stuff to run against Atlas only, so typically a study package will be a R package. But if you're looking for specifically, like, for example, cohorts to run on Atlas, my advice to you will be, if you go into, I think it's if you go into the inst folder, into the cohorts folder, you'll actually see the actual cohorts that have been used in this study. So for example, I see multiple ones here. I'm probably thinking the last 4 here are probably what's relevant to this specific study. And if you open this JSON, if you copy and paste this into the Atlas instance, if you import it, you'll be able to run on that specific Atlas environment. So there's there's tons of other studies that you can repeat this with. So not only for this hydrochloroquine study, there's also the characterization study that was done on 34,000 of COVID-19 patients. And if you also find the same GitHub repository, you'll be able to find. Oh, looks like this one is the link is probably broken, but you'll probably find it somewhere in the Odyssey repository. So there's no like one channel or a easy way for a nicely summarized place for where you can access all this, Roger. You will require some sort of digging into, because as you know, Odyssey is a open community and not everything is centralized, right? So
Yeah.
this would be my best advice for you at this moment. Will that help out in finding
Yeah.
specific stuff to run? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is with the researchers, they're new to OMOP, so they need some guidance about how they do this.
Right.
So pointing them at a GitHub site, I mean I can do it, but I suspect they'll struggle with it. For instance, when Jing passed the HDN analysis to me, there was a link to a Google folder with some files and a step-by-step process for uploading them into Atlas and running the study. Now, I did that, it worked. I've subsequently passed that on to other people, and they've been able to do that. So that was it's almost like load up your first network study and then they can see how it works, and then they can say, yes. But just a simple one to start with, or a couple of simple ones to start with, are very useful for people. Would be my comment. And obviously we're helping them with it as well, but with all these sites, curation's often important. So there's a lot of information there. As you say, it's an open source community, but what's the important information? How do I find something that's going to run in my environment? The other comment I have, when I went to the European Symposium last year, and Patrick Ryan did a workshop, and it was quite interesting because at that point I'd been using Atlas for running analysis, and then I went to the symposium, and Atlas was a minor part of it, and everyone was using R, and running analysis in R, and I think that's probably the way most centers do it now, but that's not entirely obvious. Because you see a lot of stuff on Atlas and you think, oh well, you've got to do your network study in Atlas, but I suspect the more sophisticated network studies are being done in R. So, and that's not, and from an outsider's perspective, that's not exactly obvious, so I think we could do more about educating people about how the analysis is done. It's just a comment. It's not, I'm not calling for action or anything like that. It's just, just contributing to the discussion.
Maybe, I don't know, Jing, Mukesh, maybe like in one of our future scientific forum sessions, we can have a sort of a hands-on session on where we download a network package on a potentially completed network, a published network study. And we sort of show people how to, step, mostly it will be R, right? Although it's not obvious, like Roger said, a lot of the packages will be in a form of R. But the problem with that, Roger, is stuff on R sometimes takes a long time to run. Sometimes there's errors popping up here and there due to R, errors due to our dependencies and everything. So it's not a very live friendly thing to do as a demo. So it will be more of a, we show and then we sort of, we remove the middle part where all the troubleshooting happens and we just show the final results. But
that's where a video is good.
Exactly. But the I think the more difficult part is troubleshooting those issues, but these issues are different for every single person, every single environment, and a lot of the issues need to be brought up into the forums of the Odyssey, and people finding help or troubleshooting on an ad hoc basis. So like it could be something we could do if the community is in need of such a walkthrough. But yeah, I think you're making a good point, right? Like even if somebody did want to participate in a network study, if people are not up to the technical expertise, they might have some sort of trouble running it or etc. Right?
Yeah. I think there's quite a lot of assumed knowledge. Here's a for instance. I'm working with a researcher, and her research interest is medicinal cannabis. So she's got ethics now to run her study on our OMOP data sets. She's a statistician as well. She's got some familiarity with R. She's done a course on R, but she's intelligent. She knows the field well. She's got a statistical background. But I think it'd be useful for her to have a walkthrough on how you'd approach this, how you'd approach running it on an OMOP data set. What we plan to do here is we're going to run it in Atlas, and also we're going to run it in R, and just compare the results of the same as part of the research. But that's something that we're doing here. And she's smart and got a statistical background, but I think she'd even need some guidance because it's new to people.
Yeah, and also I think even for I think not only because I think Atlas is great, but I do have to say that because for a lot of the studies, I think if you're aiming for publication, then most likely you'll require something to be done in R for the study complexity and all that. But I think Atlas is a great place to start. It can handle, let's say, 50% of the work, but then the rest has to go pretty much. I think for most of the work studies that we just shared, I would say like most of them will require some sort of R running thing. And speaking as a my background is also on statistics, and even like a package like I write by myself. Like sometimes there are bugs and errors. Like I know like for most of network studies, the study lead themselves, like who wrote the package, they are always super helpful. Because we don't like most of like the network study, because the whole package was either designed or written by the study lead, and when we run it, we run into an error. Sometimes it's hard for us to debug because we don't know the 100% full picture of where to look or where could be wrong. Like, is that because my sample size was too low, so it didn't go through because the model didn't run on like 5 patients? The model couldn't run on a 5 patient. Like I wouldn't know where to skip, like I should set a threshold or something like that. But I think in general, like what we've encountered while participating, or myself's experience is that always I think the community is very open. And also like even for the SOS, like we have the weekly office hour, so which sounds very, I'm like, I have not used that word for a long time after school, but I do love the idea that, you have office hours, so you don't feel like, I have to set something up. I have to find the right people to answer my question. So you can always go to, the office hour to get your question answered. Like here is, screen share or something, because I'm not being pessimistic, but there is always going to be bugs that we can do, either figure it out by ourselves or use the help from the study lead. Because I think sometimes we do need their support. It may not work for us because of like 100 reasons possibly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's I answered my question, and yeah, given me some food for thought.
Yeah, no problem. But thank you for the question. I definitely agree, because we are running SOS challenge as of now as well. And then we run into a couple bugs as expected. They never run on a first try, although we wish them to be. But then again, like it has to kind of go through the debugging or the fun part of troubleshooting. Cool. Thank you so much, Roger, for the question. So I think we kind of covered the part of, we have network study and SOS being, which just started 2 months ago and actually had the last session last Wednesday. But here I want to say that is a really, really great example of what we can achieve in 9 weeks as a community. There were 4 studies that's picked from the community, and also then we have weekly meetings to progress, as we just discussed, from the data profile, cohort diagnostic, phenotyping, what method we should go into, and then actually having the study package ready and run it in different running it in different data sources. All of that actually happened within 9 weeks, which is just amazing. And also with the community support, with the office hours, it actually progressed really well. I'm not saying everything went very smoothly. We still have our bugs, but it's just amazing how people can achieve with such a short notice on 4 different studies. So that's really a great use case, and feel free, we have I can share the SOS challenge website. There are definitely more more on the study itself. So next is really what we want to listen or want to get everyone's feedback. It's really going forward for our scientific forum, because we know we have the 4 APAC studies, and they are ongoing. But also we want to spend more time on kind of if there are any other things we can help from the community perspective. Feel free to let us know. We listed a couple or few areas here, but feel free to let us know if one of them would be of your interest or something else that's not on the list. So Mukesh, would you like to go through this?
Yeah.
Just in depth a bit? Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
I think Roger touched a very important point. I think it's sort of under the data analytics survey option there, where potentially there could be something that we could be doing in the future. Perhaps the cohort leads could be doing some sessions on a working R package that's with less bugs and doing well. It could be a session that we can potentially organize. And here we sort of wanted to see what are areas that the community needs some support with, right from initiating a network study, or even perhaps with having the OMOP CDM mappings, the vocabularies, or it's more analytics driven, like what Roger suggested, right? Perhaps how to run the R package on Atlas, right? How do we work with Atlas and we start building analytics on Atlas and other related analytic platforms that are related to Odyssey. And also evidence quality, right? How good the data is, the clinical validity, software validity. So these are all thoughts that we had. Perhaps these are focus areas we can have in future sessions, so they're more dedicated, and it's also an area that is of need, where the community needs some support. So that's why we've highlighted, and we thought we'll gather some more thoughts and spin out a survey on where we need to focus our efforts on. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Any other areas you'd like to see here as part of our support?
No, I think that, yeah, they're good. We're very much at this stage at the moment. We've got our first ethics and our first, formal study that we're running, the medicinal cannabis. So Christine will be at the stage where she's designing the R package to run on our CDM. So I think she'd find it very useful.
Hi, Roger. On the medicinal cannabis, it's even if you run a network study, I'm just wondering how many data partners would you be able to recruit, right? Because I don't think it's approved in definitely in Korea. It's not approved. I'm just wondering, do you know how much traction you'll be getting from of course you're not the study owner, so it's just a question out of pure curiosity, right?
No, it's a good question. We're happy to run it on our own data initially, because it was approved in Australia in 2019.
Ooh, okay.
We've done some preliminary analysis, and it's very small numbers we're seeing in our data set. small, but not, they're there. We can see they're there. There's the potential for a network study because there are countries where it is used, Netherlands, for instance, Canada. Right. But we're not at the stage, we're sort of running it internally and then maybe thinking about a network study in the future.
Sure, sure.
So it's very much sort of first steps for us. So, and there's other people have got ideas for other studies. That's just the first one that's got ethical approval.
Interesting. Like, it's sort of controversial here in Korea because, like, people view it as sort of as a I wouldn't say a narcotic, but yeah, it's there's a perception, right? And like the approval, I don't think it's going to come here in Korea any soon. And like as you said, some countries in Europe, it's even like it's even legal from a what do you call a non-medicinal perspective as well, right? Yeah. So it's very interesting that your first study that you guys are currently looking into is actually on medicinal cannabis, and I just had to ask out of pure curiosity. Thanks for that.
It's a coincidence because the researcher who's involved, she's worked on our governance process for OMOP. She's got a research interested in medicinal cannabis, so it's a coincidence. There's no, it's just because that's where her research interest is.
Great. Like, if you need help disseminating into the community, I guess we could help you channel the like bridge the study to the global side as well. So like once you're ready, please let us know. We can help out. If there's anything, as you design the study, right, Roger, with the study lead, like if you need the community's help, maybe we can always make our scientific forums a working session as well, right? So like please like if you need help with creating something in Atlas, we're always here for you. So please reach out to us. We can always use this time to have a working session all together.
Well, thank you for the offer. Yeah. Just as an aside to that, we've also got this isn't really network studies, but we've had our governance process approved within the university, so we can now formally get researchers to apply to use the data set. So that was a very lengthy process, getting the governance process approved. It went to an external data governance committee, but it's been approved now, so we can formally, ask researchers if they want to use the data set. And we've given a number of use cases, and the two of the notable new use cases are we give them access to Atlas only, and they can go in and sort of run simple, queries. And the second use case is they can apply for access via R and run R packages. So that's been approved. So yeah, because governance is a very big thing in Australia. We've got to have it in place before we can even start doing research.
I think it's an important first step, right? Opening up the data. Although with irrelevant approvals, I think it's a very important step in opening up the dissemination of the Odyssey mission and values within Australia as well. So congratulations on the first step, Roger.
Yeah, and we've submitted a paper as well. So hopefully it's under review at the moment. So you may see the paper soon on governance.
Let us know. I'm definitely going to put that on the upcoming newsletter if that's going to come up within the next few months. Yeah,
it's been submitted and it's under review. So yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you. Oh, you know what papers are like.
Yeah.
Long process.
Cool. Any other comments, like where you would be more interested in for a scientific forum going forward from the audience? Or if you do later, we're always here. Feel free to drop us an email as well. Sorry, Roger, what you're gonna say?
It'd be really useful if evidence of the data that's being generated in OMOP studies influencing policy. That would be really interesting. So it's one thing generating the evidence, but for instance, I know in Korea that OMOP is nationwide now. Is that influencing public policy in Korea? I'd be interested, because we're at the stage where we're trying to attract more interest in OMOP from government and hospitals. So it'd be interesting to know, does it actually have an effect on policy? So it's probably beyond the scope of this meeting, but that's
policy as in like drug approvals or like public health in general, Roger?
I suppose both. Pharmacovigilance and if you highlight an issue that is happening in Korea in the hospitals via an OMOP study, is that getting any traction with the government? Does that lead to anything? What are the outcomes of that research, I guess? That would be useful for,
I would let the audience here, I would defer to the audience here that are from Korea, but like if I start off, so there are some like regulatory policy updates or guideline updates where the government is starting to receive evidence generated from database studies. But it's not really like OMOP specific. I mean, they're open to all different types of databases, and OMOP could be one of those potential options.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think there is any specific use case on the OMOP as of yet. But yeah, it's more about the government also trying to study OMOP and trying to fund a bunch of government projects so that both the academia as well as the government can get a better understanding of the entire OMOP ecosystem as well. But yeah, I'll open up the floor to any other attendees from Korea if they have any specific examples that they want to share. But I think it's still a ongoing process in Korea as well in terms of getting OMOP, using OMOP to update public policies or regulations. Anything from the community? I need to stop talking, right? Please, guys, jump in from Korea if you have anything to add. Okay. And Roger, by the way, in terms of Australia, I think the current fluoroquinolone study is going to be a pretty interesting topic to be discussed, right? Because the results we're seeing right now sort of contradicts to what the regulatory authorities currently have out. So that I think is another major topic that we're probably gonna discuss at the upcoming APAC symposium as well. Of course, like the results are not finalized. We still need to see what results that are going to be published. But yeah, it looks like there is some gaps in the current evidence so far and what the regulatory authorities are guiding people and what the results we've seen so far. So yeah, that will be another interesting topic.
Oh, well, we can catch up at the symposium in 6 weeks' time, so I'm going to be there. So. We could see you all, whoever's coming. So.
Yeah, nothing further from my side. Like, if there's anyone else in the audience with feedback to Roger's questions, please jump in, because I want to stop talking.
What I would say is the obvious example I can think of is Eden in Darwin EU in Europe. So they're using the OMOP data for pharmacovigilance, and they're working with the European Medicines Agency. So I guess that's an example of, you know, OMOP being put into practice, you know. So I was just wondering if it was anything happening in the Asia Pacific.
So typically, Asia Pacific follows whatever Europe and US does, right? So once there's some movement in those regions, I'm pretty sure it's gonna flow into maybe like for sure Korea. It's just a matter of how long that process takes. So yeah, the Darwin is actually a very good example, as you said. They're going to do a bunch of studies in a very short period of time. Pretty you know, good example of how fast network studies in Odyssey can be conducted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. I think that's any other thoughts from the audience, and we and if you have more information or sorry, information, suggestions or comments, feel free to drop us an email as well. Cool. Thank you everyone for your participation today, and we look forward to hearing from you more as well. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.